Trauma-informed community development is a process by which neighborhoods are revitalized by establishing and promoting healthy, healing micro-communities. This is important so that our people who are so deeply wounded by trauma can be healthy enough to sustain opportunities. What do we mean by trauma? Hunger is a form of trauma. What do we mean by trauma? Gun violence is a form of trauma. Addiction is a form of trauma. Abuse is a form of trauma. Racism is a form of trauma. Homelessness is a form of trauma. We've been inundated by this for too long. We know, especially by the research that's been done on veterans returning home from war and other studies like the study on adverse childhood experiences, that trauma greatly impacts adult health and behavior, especially if we experience it as children. We need, as a society, to take a look at this and see that there are people who, from the time they were born to their adult lives, have suffered all manners of unspeakable traumas, and for that reason are not healthy enough to sustain whatever opportunities we create.
Well, the overall purpose and mission of Focus is pretty much described in the mnemonic Focus, Fellowship of Orthodox Christians United to Serve, which stands for food, occupational training, clothing, understanding, and shelter. And so there you have our purpose right there described. Understanding is understanding how to move people from dependency to self-sufficiency.
Growing up, I didn't see many resources like this that would help any and everybody from different nationalities around the country. I do this job because this is my community, and I'm doing it for other communities around Pittsburgh, for poverty, and uplift people.
My mom had passed 1 year. I think my son was convicted of murder 2, or murder 3 in 2005. I was in school trying to graduate. I almost didn't. And it's funny because they were trying to get me to withdraw. Like, we could see you having problems. And I'm like, no, I can't leave school. I'm like, almost finished. I knew if I left, I wasn't coming back. So I stuck out to school and graduated. I lost my house. And had to move to public housing, so it was like a lot to deal with for as a young mom, I'll say, and my mom was gone, my dad was sick, I had a lot to deal with. So I'm like, how in the world am I gonna keep myself together? Like, and it was just falling.
Whenever I see Miss Vicki, immediately I can sense the peace and the compassion that she brings with her into this ministry. As long as I've known Miss Vicki, she has shown herself to be a woman who is so deeply tied to the people of our community by the love that she has for them. I can tell you there are times in which we have had people come down to do different drives, or people come down to do different offerings, perhaps especially for children, And the only thing we have to do is say, Miss Vicki, we have something going on for these children. We have some resource available for the people. Can you help us? And moments later, she fills the van time and time again over with people who are in need. And the only thing that she has to do is say, come with me. I have something that can help you. And the people know, they sense in her words how much really she loves them. And I think that she is for me, living, walking, breathing manifestation of God's love for our community. She is that for me. And I see her be that for so many in our community. And I especially recognize the way that even with her calming, loving presence, she is there to calm people, to help people, to be a shoulder for people, even to cry on when their world is falling completely apart. And I think that in that moment, those people through her know that they absolutely are loved and that they are not forgotten. And for that reason, she is a great blessing to us. You know, I think sometimes, for us, living in the United States of America, especially in the 21st century, I think sometimes we watch television, we think, well, what can I do? There are times of crisis that we see, times of national crisis that we see, especially related to, racial tensions across the United States. And people think, what could I do? And the truth of the matter is there's a lot that we can do. There's so much work to be done right here, even in our own city. And this is where we have to understand Focus is a place where we can come and do that work. This is where we can manifest the desire of our heart, not to sit back and watch history unfold, but to get involved and impact history, so that the story of Pittsburgh is a Pittsburgh that is a bright Pittsburgh, a Pittsburgh that is a reconciled Pittsburgh, a Pittsburgh that is a forgiving and loving Pittsburgh. This is our history to write. Focus is a place where we can do that, to come alongside of people like Miss Vicki, to come alongside of people like Brandon, and to certainly help distribute food, certainly help distribute clothing. But there are other ways in which people can help. People can certainly help volunteering and even doing more skilled volunteer roles. And that's everything from employment assistant to medical care, because all of our even free health center is run by volunteer clinicians, doctors and nurses, pharmacists, and psychiatrists, OBGYN, dentists, who are all coming to volunteer their services for people who need medical care but cannot afford it. We have people in the community who are coming to be involved and focused by helping organizing interventions on their own blocks, which we need desperately. We have a trauma response team that is run primarily by volunteers, volunteer trauma responders who can come forward and be trained to go and be with our families for the first 48 hours after someone is killed in our community. There are so many ways in which people can help. And I believe that this is a time in which we have the opportunity. We here in Pittsburgh, we as Americans, we have an opportunity to help.